Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may be, Australia, United States, in the UK. How's everybody doing? Is everybody staying cool? It's very hot out. With me today is myself, Edward Hopkins, and my partners, John Pasamato and Alina Pasamato. How you doing, guys?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Ed.
Doing great, staying cool. I got a little jungle thing going on in my office today. I got two cats sleeping on my couch, and I got a parrot on each shoulder, so...
Oh my gosh.
and they're both grinding their.
Isn't that clash, though? Isn't there a potential problem there with cats and
Oh, the
birds?
cats are definitely afraid of the birds. You should see them when they attack the cats. Like the cats, they run. They hate it. They don't like the bites.
Oh.
I got both of them here. They're both grinding their beaks in my ear because they do that. That means they're content when they grind their beaks.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of like someone grinding their teeth in their sleep, I guess. All right, today, so we're going to talk about the app that we have coming out called AtLot. It's the car finder app for dealers. It can also be used for, because of its name, it can be used for mobile home parks. It could be used for realtors to find houses. Several kinds of uses for it, and we just basically made it generic so anybody that uses, any niche that uses it will be able to just plug right in without having to say, hey, this is made for dealers, when it's actually made for just about anything. I'll jump into it, and then we'll take some questions on it, and then we'll have John talk about some sales stuff. If you guys have any questions about sales, you might want to jot them down, get them in the chat box, and that way we'll be ready. We're not sitting here just twiddling our thumbs waiting for questions. So if you have a question, get it up there, and we will get to it. Let me show my screen. We are recording. That's a good thing. So this is my demo, John Pasamato Motors chat board. I put it here, but it's eventually the tool. It's going to move into the tool section here. Now, this is going to be enabled for every single account within dealership, Easy Money Machines, Sales Text Chat, or Service Text Chat. They can be downloaded on the app stores for both Apple and for Android. And because of the way we set this up, if I go to it, every time somebody downloads the app, if they're an approved user in that system, for example, if you add a new app user, there's the parrot. Let me get rid of the parrot 1 second, guys.
Just want to make it clear that's not me.
That was funny. Anyways, so every time you add a user, it's going to give them a custom app key. You would tell the porter, the salesman, or whoever is going to be using it to download the app and enter the key when it asks for it. And that's going to enable it. It's going to tell that system to point it to this installation on Sales Text Chat. Built into this app key is actually information about the install domain, and the actual user itself. So it's all encrypted in this little app key here. Very simple. Next thing is the dealer would get an inventory list from their CRM, and they would upload it into our system. Now, they're not going to know the latitude and longitude, and that's okay. What's going to happen is every time that porter starts using the service, every time they go to that car, they're going to mark its location, and it's very easy to find. So let me kind of jump into what the app looks like. I'm going backwards here. So when you,
make sure you're sharing your screen for this. We're still just seeing the text chat dashboard.
There we go.
There you go.
So this was the section with the app key here, and this was the section with the inventory list. And as I stated before, they're not going to know the latitude and longitude, so these are all going to be blank, but these are going to be punched in when the user visits that car or is about to move that car. So I'm going to go into our post, Alina. I sent you all the screenshots. I'm just going to start clicking on it one by one. So this screen here is the home screen. There's only really two things, actually three things in this entire app. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. Now, at the very top, we have a little menu for settings up here. We have two modes. We have regular arrows, which is a silent mode, which will just lead the person to the car. And we also have a radar mode, which is essentially like a submarine ping. And every time you get closer to the automobile or the inventory, it'll ping faster and faster so you know you're getting close to it. So most times the porter is probably going to be walking through the lot because they can't drive to the car they're going to pick up, usually. they're most of the time they're going to be walking. But this will work in both for driving and for walking. I actually tested it on my tablet today, and it's really cool because if you have a tablet stand you can put in your car, if you were actually a realtor and you're showing houses around, it could actually take you to the directions to the house. But with that said, let me go on here. We have options here. So let's say I'm about to drive, or excuse me, I'm walking to one of the inventories, and I don't know where it's at. So I'm going to look at the manifest that I have in my hand, and then I'm just going to scan it with the scan tool. Essentially what it is, it takes a picture of whatever you're holding, and you can crop the VIN number, and then it'll automatically start searching for that car because it'll automatically detect. It's an OCR scanner. It'll automatically detect the settings, or actually the actual words of it, and compare it with the existing database. If there's more than one find, you can actually do partials as well. So if you had like just 3 or 4 letters or numbers of the VIN or stock number, it'll automatically find it, and then it'll list it here. Anytime you want to add a new inventory item, you can do it by clicking the new button, and then here we just, by default, it's always a search. If they start typing, it'll start searching automatically, and you can determine which automobile or inventory that you're looking for. Now let's say if I go to the next screen here. So if I click on here, if I click on Find Car for this Honda Elantra, and it'll automatically start searching for it. So like here I'm the person, let's say this is the lot, I'm the person here, it's going to tell me this is where that car is located. Now in our menu we're going to have the option where we can actually set the zoom, so because lots are normally not this big. This section here is probably like a 1/4 mile by 1/4 mile right here, but it'll tell you the inventory has been located, and it'll tell you how many meters it is away. We're going to have 2 features for feet and for meters, so for those Canadians that are using the system, we'll be able to use it for the meters because that's your unit of measurement there. The GPS will automatically lead that person to the inventory. There's going to be 2 different modes here when finding. Is number 1, where the person, it'll go into the direction of travel, so the map will actually spin till you arrive at your inventory, and this will constantly change. Now anytime, let's say you move that car to a different parking spot, let's say I move that car over here, before I leave that car, I'm just going to click on Mark New Location. That way the next person that goes to find a car is going to know exactly where to find it. So go to the next screen here. This is what happens when your inventory is found. There is a margin of error with every single device. Most people think that the GPS on their phone is like exact, but it's not. There's a margin of error from 0 to 30 meters. So on setup of the phone, you actually have to provision the app by simply marking your exact location, and it'll calculate the difference from the calculated distance from where you're at versus the reported distance of where Google says you're at. And then it'll always find exactly where you're standing. That way when it's navigating, it's going to have a margin of error of less than a meter. So that's the part we're still working on. So when the inventory is found, it's going to blink green all around here, and that tells a person to look around for the inventory. We have a menu of settings. We have our sleep settings, location settings, map rotation. We're going to actually obviously add the units of measurement as well. The first one is the sleep settings, controls the device auto sleep. When we first started working with the app, I found it really irritating that my phone would just go to sleep while I'm using it when I'm trying to search for something. So now we added this thing where it stays awake while you're using the app. That way it'll never turn off whether you're using a phone or a tablet. Next one is the location settings inside of the menu and on startup of the phone. This is where it asks you where your exact location is. Now in this example here, let's say if I was actually standing here but Google says I'm here, I can readjust that. That way the system will be automatically corrected for the margin of error. And next we have the 2 different modes of location. If I go back to where this was, so here we have this mode here where it'll put this in the center of the actual map and everything else will turn around it. The other way is we have it where it's always north, and this thing will move as you're walking or you're driving. It's going to always spin the map in the direction that you're moving. So we have two different modes. If anybody has any other modes that you think would be useful, just let us know and we will add it. We're probably about a week and a half from launching this for the Android. It's probably going to be another, I'd say, 20 to 30 days for the iOS version or the Apple version. But we're just getting all the kinks out. We just don't want to throw this out there and everybody start complaining, hey, we gave it to a dealer and it's like 30 meters off. Well, we already know that. So that's why we're fixing it. We're going to make sure when we launch this, everything's done right and not just thrown out there, because we don't have to deal with support from both our members and our dealers that are with our members and with us. You guys have any questions on the app itself? John and Lynn, what do you guys think?
Well, Greg, yeah, let me tell you a little bit of background on this. I was actually at a dealer today that requested something specifically like this. It's a Ford store next to a Honda store next to a Nissan store. The dealer owns them all. It's one big, large lot, right, kind of a joint together, right? But it is way larger than most lots because it's three put together. And they lose cars all the time. Right, and they can never find them, and they waste a whole lot of time trying to look for cars. So, I mean, this is the need that this satisfies, and this happens a lot more than you would think, even in single point stores that are very large, right? And I mean, cars in the back lot, they don't realize that, or the cars move from the front to the back or the back to the front. At any rate, missing cars are a big headache. They waste a lot of time inside of a store. And this is the problem that this app is meant to relieve. Now, the only alternative out there is a near-field communications reader with tags. Anyway, that solution is really...
But you still have to drive around the lot to actually, so that thing would pick it up, because the near-field is only like 20, 30 feet, right?
Well, yeah, or they have to set up, and this is the killer, they have to set up these kind of hardware readers all over the place. I mean, we're talking like $60,000-$70,000 to do this, right?
Wow.
So most dealers obviously don't do it, right? But that's the only alternative that they see, and actually it was this dealer that came up and said, well, I miss cars all the time. There's no way I'm paying 50 grand to put all of these, readers all over the place to figure out where the car is. Is there another alternative you can suggest? And this is that alternative, and there really isn't anything else out there, literally. Except for the system that puts a lot of hardware out there and a lot of fixed cost out there, and most dealers, even multi-franchise dealers like this guy, aren't going to do that, right?
So the value of this alone would probably be between $300 to $500 a month if you were going to just sell this.
Yeah, and there's nothing else out there like it, right? I mean, the only thing they can go to is a hardware-based system with these readers, and that's, I mean, literally, I don't think this company sells more than one or two a month all over the country, because it's just out of the realm of possibility for most stores unless it's an auto mall, and the same guy owns everything in the auto mall.
Who's usually the person that's to blame for losing the car?
It's always the porter, right? But sometimes it actually isn't the porter. They have a series of porters, and they shuffle cars around. In actual fact, though, you've got salesmen who take a test drive and don't put the car in the right spot, and then maybe some things are recalled and have to go into service, new cars, used cars. Right, or something's back.
Or mechanics take it for a test drive, and somebody parked in the parking spot where it was at before.
Well, exactly. I mean, you would be amazed at how many times cars are lost inside stores. I mean, you would say, well, gee, it's a contained area, so they can't really lose it. Now, they spend a lot of time trying to find it.
Now, I guess this would be a question that a lot of dealers want to ask you is, how hard would it get if everything works as we spec'd it out? How hard would it take for them to actually use the software, or force them to use the software?
Well, I think it would be a job requirement, right? You're going to be where everyone is going to have this, and you're going to record where you drop the car off, and you would just have to make a job responsibility, right? And after that...
I mean, really, how hard would it be to type in like 5 letters of the VIN, find the match, click find, and click mark inventory? How hard is it?
Exactly.
It's nothing.
It takes a lot more time to find a lost car, let me tell you.
What, on average, when somebody does lose a car, the porter, how much time does it take to find that car if it's a really like average size lot?
Oh, I mean, probably an estimate of hours per week, right? There's probably 20, 25 hours a week on average lost. Just
Wow.
trying to find cars.
So that's like if you're paying a porter 14, 15 bucks an hour, that pretty much pays for the software and gives a little extra money in your pocket.
Well, exactly, and it's a big convenience factor, right? Because these cars are shuffled around all the time, right? And they just, they lose them, and then they keep searching for them, and then they, find them, and then they lose them again. I mean, it's a never-ending issue. And the bigger the dealer, the worse the problem is. And you get a multi-franchise dealer next to, side by side, which is what we had here, right? Then, the problems, geometrically worse, put it that way.
Right. And before I got this call, I had like another idea where if, let's say, I typed in the VIN number and I clicked on find, but somebody else was already in the car or that car is already being test driven, I could have an option, where I think let me go back to the screen here where it says mark in new location. If that was the person, let's say the salesman gave the car to a customer to test drive, we could have an option where you said customer is out with customer. They click on it. That way when the next person goes to find that car, they'll know it's out with another person.
Right. Yep.
And then once he sees that it's finally on the lot and it doesn't say with a customer, that he can now have his customer test drive that car. So just another thing that I thought of. And I welcome anybody's advice or anybody's request for features. But I think the simplicity of the app is really going to serve its purpose. Like if we get too complicated with this, people nobody's going to use it. But in its current form, it's like two buttons and a click to find a car, and that's kind of like how you want things to be.
Yeah, exactly. This has to be really simple because remember, most of the time porters are going to be using it. Sometimes salespeople, but most of the time porters, mechanics.
Great. And now, I guess John, you're going to be at the Dealer Summit coming up in a couple of weeks, correct?
Yep, exactly. We're going to make a presentation there, hopefully to a lot of people. It gets pretty well attended. They call it the Industry Summit because it's a combination of 3 different conferences, one for straight sales and technology, one for finance and insurance, and one for agents of finance and insurance. So it's an amalgamation of 3 conferences over 3 days. And we're obviously in the technology section talking about proximity marketing and apps, mobile wallet, and some two-way SMS text thrown in.
Great. I'm going to tackle some of the questions I got via email over the last week or so. One of our members had an issue where it seems he says he goes in, he just can't get to the gatekeeper or he's saying the wrong things. Can you kind of like go over just like the quick spiel of how just the introduction goes when you first walk into a dealer? This kind of help him out. I mean, I have my own way. If you guys remember that Seinfeld episode where George Costanza does the opposite, and one day he does everything the opposite, and everything worked out for him, that might work too.
Well, that might. I mean, everything's a little bit different, and I've got to go after, preface the whole thing on saying persistence, right? If they see you one time, your chances are a lot less than if they see you 3 or 4 times. And I've walked into dealers where I've almost written them off and I was just making a courtesy call, and that's when the sale actually happens. But if I'm selling text chat, the first thing obviously is I look on their site, right? And if they don't have anything on there, it's real simple. I pull up a competitor site that does have a texting chat, or even if it isn't a direct competitor geographically, I pull up the best guy I have that has the most correct text us links on the site. And I usually get the sales manager, right, who introduces me to the general manager, but I show them their site mobilely. I show them the site with the text links, right, and I say, oh, look, it's not going to cost you very much, but you realize some people simply want to text, right, and you don't have that capability on here. Relatively speaking, it's going to be the cheapest lead you get, but the most effective lead you get because it's going to close the most. Who do I talk to about possibly showing you how to do this and maybe even comping 30 days? And that usually gets attention of somebody, right? Especially when I say, look, this guy has it, you don't. This is easy, it's not very expensive, and I might be willing to even, let you try it out, provided you try it out my way and put the links on the way they should be and things like that.
No, wait 1 second. Let's say if you got really far into the conversation with the person you're selling it to, is it a good question? Will you get a correct answer if you say, well, how much are you currently paying if you're currently using text chat? Will they give you an answer?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, invariably, there's not that much competition out there. The one thing you've got to prevent, right, because they will confuse it immediately. They do not know the difference between web chat and text chat. Even some of our customers don't know the difference yet to this day, right? At least at the higher end, right? The BDC guy probably knows, but the general manager probably doesn't know, right? So be very specific for text chat and not web chat, because they might have web chat on the site and specifically immediately come back and say, no, we've got that. And then you have to say, no, you've got web chat. We're talking about text chat. If they have text chat, yeah, you say, well, how much are you, how much extra is it costing you? Because it's usually combined with some sort of web chat service, unless it's admins, and that provokes a whole different conversation, which is, I really would advise you to get admins. I did that with a dealer today, believe it or not. Get admins off there as quickly as possible. This is your reason. You don't want your leads being siphoned off. Everybody I know, or most of the dealers I know that had Edmunds car code on there have taken it off. Everybody takes it off within 3 months, right? But if it's Edmunds, it's a different conversation entirely. If it's anybody else's, it's okay. How much is it costing you, and how effective is it, right? How many leads are you getting? Because our system really does produce the most leads, and it's the most dynamic system out there. Anything else out there is pretty much a bolt-on product. It's a web chat provider that bolted on text chat. And I explain that as well. What I tell them is, look, okay, text chat leads are the most valuable, right? They close 1 out of 4, right? You wouldn't bolt on text chat. If anything, you would bolt on web chat, because that closes 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 25, right? So what are you really going to concentrate on? The best text chat system because it produces the best leads, or just bolt it on, right, as kind of a side thing? And usually that gets their attention as well, right? Because it's like logic, right? I'm gonna pay the most attention to the thing that gets me the most sales. Why would I skimp on text chat when that gets me the most actual sales? I'd rather skimp on web chat, if anything. And you just have to kind of walk through that. The biggest level of resistance that I see, I mean, outside of getting to a decision maker, get to the sales manager first, and he'll recommend you to the general manager usually, or general sales manager, right? But the biggest problem that I have isn't so much the access, it's the confusion between web chat and text chat. And that sounds silly because everybody on this call understands the difference, but inside a dealership they really don't, right? They kind of lump it all together until you have to really go down and explain, look, text is text, right? Particularly on your mobile site. Really, very few people are going to use web chat on a mobile site. They're going to text because they're used to texting on a mobile site. So here's the difference right there. You've got web chat. You do not have text chat. Let me show you what text chat's about.
When you walk in, do you walk in with like pamphlets or any kind of visual aids?
When we first started this turkey shoot, I had a whole bunch of collateral material, and I found that nobody reads it. I mean, I will send them stuff by email, attachments by email. I don't use a lot of collateral leave behind, but I will go in, again, the most effective thing that I've seen is going in with your mobile phone, going in with a site that has the text buttons effective, comparing it to their mobile site and saying, see, look at this. If you were a customer, right, and you really wanted to contact, you'd probably be afraid of calling, but you probably wouldn't be afraid of texting. Look how easy it is here. And I can't do it on your site. Or if I can do it on your site, it's not as easy. It's not as quick. I can't do certain things, right? So I usually go in with just the phone and show them a site that's working with text chat versus their site, which is not. And that's, and then I'll follow up with maybe some screenshots and some material with an email, and then follow up again.
Gotcha. When somebody says they're thinking about it, I mean, what's your reply to that, your rebuttal?
Well, what I like to do is, I mean, the first time they say that, they might actually be thinking, right? So let them think about it, follow up with email. By the second time, it's, okay, I'll tell you what, why don't you think while you have a try? I mean, this has got to be a good prospect, too. It can't be a store that you don't think is going to close. But then the close is always, look, just try it for 30 days. Right? When you're thinking about it, try it. Now, the obligation is you got to get those links the way I tell you to get them on your site. because the way you're going to try it is, you're going to see how it works, but if you don't have the links up, it's not going to be a trial anyway. It's going to be a waste of time for everybody. So, I mean, after a little bit of time, I follow up and say, look, let's just try it the right way. When you're thinking about it, put it on there. There's no downside. You try it for 30 days, and then you see what, how it pays for itself.
Yeah, and also, guys, don't be afraid if you feel that you're losing the opportunity with that client. Go ahead and offer a 60 and 90-day trial as well. We've done this for several members. You just got to ask us, and we won't bill you for it. We'll pause the billing for the credit. So just let us know if you guys need that. Just don't abuse it. I mean, if someone's paying you, we should be being paid too. But just go ahead. Feel free. I mean, you make the decision on the sale, how much time, how much free trial time that they need based on your discussions with them.
Let me interject there. I wouldn't, between us, we'll do a 60, we'll do a 90. I wouldn't lead with that. Tell them 30, because if they know they have 60 or 90, all of a sudden it takes, double the time to get the links on the site. If they know it's 30, they'll rush to get their provider to put the links up on the site the way you showed them how, right? If you give them 30, they'll rush it really quick. If you already say 60 or 90, then all of a sudden that process, at least in my experience, is going to be delayed, right? Because they really have to push the provider to get them on there. So I would lead with 30, and then I would come in, and if it took them an extra week or two, say, look, you're good, you're giving this, you got the links up, everything's going well, I'll give you another 30 days or so. I mean, make them kind of talk to you a couple of times to get an extra amount of time, even though between us, we're going to give you the time if you need it.
I've talked to several members, and some of them are like given free trials, some of them aren't. But when it comes to like setup costs, what is your recommendation there? I've seen some of our members charge like a setup fee, and some just say, hey, once you're live, the billing starts. How do you approach it?
Well, quite honestly, the way the traffic will bear, whatever I think the traffic will bear. Sometimes I'll always quote a setup charge, even if I waive it, right? Because there's got to be value to it. And sometimes
everybody charges a setup fee.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll always quote it, and if I want to close the deal and I want to throw an extra penny in, then I'll discount it or I'll waive it or I'll do something, right? But always quote, I mean, in my opinion, always quote one, right? Because even if you end up giving away some of it or most of it, at least establishes the value.
Awesome. And then when you finally come to the time where you're closing the deal, when do you ask for the money?
Well, it depends. If there wasn't a free trial, I'll say, look, I'm going to bill you in 30 days. If there was a free trial, I'll bill them immediately right after the free trial, right? Because they've already had their time. All right. So I'll override a little bit if there wasn't a free trial, and if there was a free trial, I'll send the first bill out after the free trial.
Awesome.
The beauty of these dealers, too, is that once you're in there and once you're billed, right, number one, they usually don't drop it because they're getting a lot of business. But number two, dealers just don't drop things if they're working in any great degree. So you got the customer for life. And then you can add on other things, right? I want to, Ed, just squeeze out a little bit of time, leave another 10 or 15 minutes. I've had a lot more experience selling the app. And I think I know the hot buttons now, so I want to kind of talk about that.
Yeah, go for it.
I can not do it now, but at some point tonight.
Okay. Another thing when it comes to the billing part, obviously I don't think a lot of dealers are going to go for PayPal or giving you their credit card. What is the best approach to billing, and how do you deal with, obviously dealerships are very busy and some of their billing departments are very discombobulated. How do you deal it when you're not getting a payment or payment's late and you haven't seen anything for 2 months, 2 weeks, or whatever?
Well, 2 weeks I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, billing is completely disjoint from the rest of the store, right? I don't think I've actually had any dealer actually take me, right? Meaning that they had an accounts payable that they didn't ultimately pay, although I've had a lot of delayed payments. So the thing is, I mean, again, it's on a case-by-case basis, but don't get too worried if they're a little bit in arrears. They will pay you. I've had really good customers stretch out a bill 60 days, 90 days, and it's not because they're not going to pay me. They always end up paying me. It's because, accounting is, delayed, or somebody's out, or there's an approval, or in some cases the bill is they wait till it gets to a certain amount and then they pay. I don't think we've ever had anyone stiff us. This is kind of amazing to say because I bet you in other businesses different. No one's ever stiffed us. No one's ever kept a bill, outstanding and never ever paid. Although it does sometimes take 30 days or 60 days, and I give them a little understanding. The thing is, too, I know I know where they live. They're not going anywhere. I mean, this is a car dealer, right? Very few of them go out of business. Very few of them move, and so that receivable really is as good as gold. But sometimes they take a while to pay. It's just the nature of the beast.
What is the proper etiquette for demanding the money? Do you blow up their email? Do you blow up their phone? Do you send a repo man to take a car? How do you approach that?
No, we just keep reminding them, right? On a regular basis, right?
What's your method of contact in those cases?
Yeah, we call them up. We call them up and see what the issue is. And in a lot of cases, right, one person didn't know and they were waiting for an approval for another person, right? It usually is some sort of screw up inside the office.
Gotcha. If you guys have any more questions, please throw them in the chat box here. I'm going to let John go ahead and talk about how he's using the app as the main selling point when he's approaching dealers. So I'll let you run with that, and then we'll take questions as well after that.
One more thing on the payable and receivables. Well, you got to understand these guys are dealing with really big ticket items, right? They're dealing with cars, and they're moving multiple units a day. And they've got lots of payoffs on used cars, and they're paying off the finance source for the new cars, right? And in the scheme of things, our invoice is absolutely minuscule, right? I mean, these guys are paying millions of dollars a day going each direction, right? So obviously, the priority is on getting the big numbers straight. So 9 times out of 10, if your invoice isn't paid, it's not because anybody did it intentionally. It's because, hey, we were rushing at the end of the month. And we've got 50 million out here, and we got 20 million out here, and we got 500,000 in payouts for used cars here. And if you were a dealer, which one would you concentrate on first? They got to do that. So occasionally they'll be late. You call them, you remind them. Like I said, it sounds absolutely unreal, but it is true. I don't think we've ever had a dealer stiff us. I mean, I don't think anybody owed us money that didn't ultimately pay us. Although sometimes it takes a couple of months. Okay, enough of that. The app. Right. Interestingly enough, the real hot button in this app, and everybody that's on this call, download the Old Bridge app, the All-American Old Bridge. I think it has it up on the side there somewhere. Right?
I think it's this one here. Nope.
Okay. I want particularly the Old Bridge one, because I want people to see, and this is the hottest button on the app right now. I want people to load it and see the rating system on there. Right, the immediate rating. Right. Specials are good, but I'm going to go through priority on how I sell this app. Right, the first thing I say is 100% clear. Look, the toughest part about an app is getting somebody to download it. Right, so the chances of a prospect downloading it, you can always incentivize people. You can put out QR codes, which All American does on the water they give out, and they've been giving out a lot of water lately because it's been like 100 degrees here. Right. But realistically, it's easiest to get a current customer when they're buying a vehicle at delivery to download the app. It's a good, kind of customer relations tool, right? They usually have the phone to pair it up for Bluetooth or something, right? So the first thing is, hey, we've got this app. It'll cut down a lot of time. You can schedule service with it as a customer. You can click to call. It dovetails with text, our text chat system. It's just easier for you, Mr. Customer. Would you like our app? And usually they say yes at delivery. Now, the key thing there is that Rate Us button, because every one of these dealers are fighting for good ratings on Google and with their manufacturer. Their lifeblood really depends on these ratings, and Google is the granddaddy of them all. Dealer Rater was just bought by Cars.com, so that actually dilutes the effectiveness of Dealer Rater a lot. Google is the thing, right? So the first selling point with the app that I've noticed is the best hot button is saying, hey, you want better ratings, right? If you can get somebody to okay downloading the app, and of course we want them to say yes to notifications and yes to geofence, right? But right there, after you download the app, ask the person, would you rate us? Would you rate me, right? That will get them really high ratings. Why? Because the person's standing in front of them, right? Very few people are going to say you are horrible to your face, right? And as Ed already said, a 5 decreases If you're going to rate it 5-star and you ask a week later, right, the probability of rating a 5 is a lot less. So I show them how simple it is for a customer to rate just by hitting that Rate Us button. They put their name in, they put their phone number in, they put a couple drop-down menus in, they rate 1 to 5. Boom, if it's a 5, they got a Gmail account, you can push it directly to Google. Believe it or not, that is the best dealer incentive to get the app and to have guys download it, because their only alternative out there used to be a company, actually I forgot the name of it, it's still around. It is a company. It used to have kind of a dealer kiosk and encourage the customer to go to the kiosk and do a rating right there. The problem was, right, that was on the dealer's Wi-Fi system. This isn't, right? This is on the individual person's phone. Right? Google got a hold of it. It was all the same IP. They voided them out, so that one doesn't work anymore. Right? So this one is a really neat alternative. That is one of the hot buttons. And what I tell them with the app is, look, our app does everything, you know, kind of any other app does out there, right? We've got specials tied into specials. We've got Find My Car. We've got appointments. We do service appointments. But here's some hot buttons nobody else does. One is the rating system. It's not on anybody else's app for a dealer. Right? A second, of course, is our Text Us button because it ties into text chat. Right? A third is that Refer a Friend in the Old Bridge app. Now, you got to watch this. I know some states do not allow referrals. Right? Jersey does. New York does. Pennsy does. There's some states, I believe Ohio does not. Right? But if a dealer has a referral mechanism, this is much, much more easy for the customer to grasp. Usually, right, they're doing a paper system and they say refer and, you know, hand my card out and somehow we'll keep track of it. In the app, you've got this Refer a Friend, and this is why I wanted Old Bridge, because they've got a good one out there. All the person does is put in their name, email, and phone number, and the friend's name, email, and phone number, send it to the dealer. The dealer keeps it on record. If the friend buys a car, the original customer gets a referral fee. That they like, because it saves them a lot of time and headache of trying to keep a paper trail of everything, right? They've got it automated. Right. So those are the things that I show them immediately in the app, and feel free to download Old Bridge's app and show them right there. And then what I do is jump to the back end and say, now look, the real benefit for you, Mr. Dealer, is that, I mean, this is real geofencing on steroids, because if you can get them to say yes to notifications, you know, and the location finder, right, now we can really set up any geofence we want anywhere. We can send any media we want, coupon, video, text message, depending on the geofence. We can get a ping back when they hit that geofence. Look at all this neat stuff. At the point I even go through the rating system, what I've noticed is when I show the dealer that, the guy says, okay, how much is it? You know, and I give them a reasonable price, they're 90% sold. Once I show them the geofence, they're 100% sold. But it's very interesting because I use this Old Bridge app, right, and I show them these features, and the features particularly that are unique to our app versus anything else out there. And I usually can get them to close on that. Now I continue, you know, and I talk about, okay, again, this is for customers taking delivery. If you can get anybody else to download it, great. But if you can't, it's still worth it just for customers taking delivery. Right? And then, and this is for the future, when we have mobile wallets set up and we, you know, push it out to you folks, then I go into mobile wallet and say, well, the next best thing is the digital business card and my mobile wallet coupons. I can't do quite as much proximity marketing with it. And, you know, we're limited. We can't get the feedback back, right? But the flip side is you can get prospects to download that as opposed to customers. So it's kind of a pyramid, and at the very top of the pyramid, you've got the app holders, and then you get a little wider dispersal, and you've got the mobile wallet holders there too. Right? But I've had good luck with the app when I've started not with, hey, do you want an app? But here, let me show you this app. Let me show you the unique features. Let me show you the rating system in particular, because the ratings are getting very, very important, and Google's the granddaddy of them all. Right? And now that Dealer Rater's been bought by Cars, believe it or not, it doesn't strengthen their kind of appearance in the market. It kind of reduces it, kind of dilutes it.
Yeah, and recently American Old Bridge, I think it was, or All American, the group, had a request where they wanted to have it to where one QR code would automatically detect if the user was an Android user or an Apple user. And if one of you guys, if you guys got an Apple or an Android, if you guys want to scan this, this will take you right to the location, no matter what phone you have, to download your app. So that's something that we can also do for your clients as well, if they have more than one location, where it'll differentiate between Android and Apple depending on their device with automatic detection. Also gives them a link for advertising as well.
Ed, do you know what they did with that?
What'd they do?
That's what they put on their water bottles. They used to have, I mean, again, it's been 100 degrees, right? So all the dealerships give out free water, and they label the water bottles. It's not labeled. They take the old label off, and they put their own label on. And before they had the app, they used to do buy one oil change, get one free.
That's brilliant.
They've replaced that with this barcode. Download our app, and so no matter where they give out the water, this is a 7-location store. No matter where they give out the water, they do that, and the person can download the app. It's really cool.
Awesome. And have they got any metrics on that?
They just started doing it. I mean, they just replaced.
Just started getting hot.
No, this is great. They just finally replaced the water. I saw that because I was at one of the stores on Monday, and I saw the prototype. It was really neat to know that we're replacing all their water bottles.
Awesome. I also know, too, if you guys wanted to, once we start getting into the beacons, we could talk about that, too, John. But inside of this system, too, obviously you can create your own links in here. So if I go into the sales text chat and I go to, where is it under a different account, John? Might be in an old bridge. But anyways, yeah, it's under All American Tech.
They have a private label, right? So
exactly. Yeah, you can actually set a link to where it would go to the leads beacon, where that person would sign up for the loyalty. That link can be also put inside the app as well.
Which is really neat. I mean, this all, like I said, this all kind of dovetails together, and it's a perfect 1-2 punch sale, right? Because it's here, top of the pyramid again. Your deliveries, have them download the app. Those that won't download the app, make a little broader prospects, goes right into Leads Beacon and the whole mobile wallet. Right? And so we're in advanced proximity marketing now, and we're in a category of one. There virtually is nobody doing proximity marketing to this level. So, in addition to having a 1-2 punch that applies, dealer's not going to have any competition in that. And of course, it all ties back into the sales text chat dashboard, so it's all, it all ties in together. But we're very quickly making ourselves very unique in the industry because no one is focusing on these niches.
Awesome. Next, I guess we can start talking about the Leads Beacon, the proximity. We are currently just doing some back-end work, finishing up on the back-end, redesigning it to make it more user-friendly, and we're going to be able to put this stuff in your hands here really soon. I know, John, you guys is constantly, every time I log in, I see there's new clients in the back-end. So you guys are really putting this through the test. Well,
yeah, and I got to tell you, the killer app is this digital business card, right? So I'll relay a story, right? I mean, again, we're testing it out so we can give you kind of best practice advice. And what we found is, like, our test prices were just way too low. I mean, I was counseled by a dealer that literally said, on a per-card basis for the NFC readable card, we should multiply the price by a factor of 10, right, literally, and then the monthly price multiplied by a factor of 3. I mean, this is a customer saying, this is what the value is. This is where you could sell this, right? So yeah, I mean, when we roll this, the Leads Beacon mobile wallet to you, this will be something where literally you walk in and you won't have competition, and you can set the range of price anywhere you want to. I think we've refined it now. I mean, we were nowhere near as sophisticated a few months ago. Yeah, we were into mobile wallet, and we were doing some stuff, we're doing some loyalty cards, but we've got some, what I would say, turnkey applications now that you can hit the ground running with. And the beauty of it is it all dovetails together. Again, like I said, the sale that I do now is, especially for proximity marketing and texting, is, let me show you how to do this right here. Best case, lock your person in with an app, right? You can do that at delivery, your customer, you give them a lot of the benefits as to why, and immediately you benefit because you've got the rating system. You can ask the guy to rate you right then and there, right? And you got the referral, you can show them that immediately. But the really cool part is the proximity marketing, which is proximity marketing and geofencing on steroids, right? You do everything you want, plus ping back when that guy hits the geofence. But we recognize right? That only a small subset of customers are going to allow the app on their phone, are going to keep the app on their phone, are going to allow the notifications and the geography thing, right? So you broaden that pyramid out. Let me show you mobile wallet, right? And let me show you the best application for mobile wallet, our digital business card. And this is how it works, and here's mine, and let me show you how it works, right? You can get everybody on that because, I mean, everybody accepts your business card. Way to do that. You can't go into as much detail with beacons and proximity marketing because we're limited, you know, with Apple Wallet and the equivalent on Google, right? We can't get the ping back, we can't send out rich media, but we can flip that card into anything you want. So if you want to do a flash sale and service, for instance, which was never possible before, you always had to do, you know, email coupons or printed coupons and keep them open 30 days or 45 days. Now you don't have to. You can literally push out a brand new coupon to anybody that has your business card and say, I got a special $19.95 oil change and it's for the next 24 hours only, and when it's done it flips back into the business card. So they get that and they like that, and it puts them, you know, kind of way ahead of the pack. And then you go into the text chat system and the keyword and say, look, they can pull down the business card by texting, you know, a keyword. And it'll give them a link to download the card. And it all ties in together and makes us very, very unique. And we've got now really packages, kind of best practices applications that we'll be able to show you guys and say, here, this is the best way to sell this. But the pricing knocked me out because, I mean, I thought we were charging a decent rate. And like I said, the dealer sat down and said, look, here's the value in it. You could charge up to X and up to Y. So this is something you'll have very little competition or no competition in. And you'll be able to price it accordingly.
Want to hear a funny story? So the town fair is probably like walking distance from my house. So we go to the fair. You're talking a 100-acre fair. I mean, it's one of Michigan's biggest fairs. And I was like, you know, let's walk down the car. There's one section where there's dealerships with all their cars they're showing off, right? So I start walking down there, and who do I see? I see two of our clients side by side at the fair. And I walk up to each one of them. I was like, where are the keywords? And they're like, oh, man. I guess it's a good segue. I guess it's a good segue into this. It's the importance of keywords in text chat. I think people don't realize the power of keywords in advertising because it works, and we've already proven that with our Wrecking Ball SMS and our WooText systems. I mean, it works, and it's very important when you're selling this. Not only are you selling the web portion, but you're teaching them how to use those keywords in your web advertising and your offline advertising. I don't know how you approach it, John, but I think it's highly important that you use those. And I've been thinking about this, and I guess I can take a survey from you guys. When anybody comes from the 69696 short code with a keyword in our text chat system, we could probably have those imported to a list automatically where that dealer can now send offers via text. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I love it. Let me give you another example of that, Ed, that I didn't tell you, but it's kind of the same thing. Very good customer out here, Holman, and big dealership. I'm looking at TV on the Sunday night, and I'm seeing that he buys one of those half-hour infomercials. Key time, like at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. And I'm looking at the whole ad, and I'm saying, you know, because he has our text chat system, why doesn't have the word Holman there, text to 69696 for info? So I saw him, I called him up. I said, you know, you already have the system that'll do that, right? You're already paying me. You're paying a whole bunch more money for this, you know, infomercial for a half hour on a Sunday night. Why aren't you putting the call to action by keyword? And he said, gee, that's a good point. I don't know why I'm not. And of course, the next week he had it up there with traffic. So you're 100% right. These guys just don't realize the power of keyword, right? And in a lot of cases, in that case, he was paying a bundle for that half-hour television commercial every week, Sunday night, right, on cable, and just didn't think to put it up there. It was not that he didn't want to do it. He just didn't think of doing it. So a lot of what we do is advice like that, right? That is a no-brainer, right? As I'm saying, look, you're paying me, you're paying for that. You're not going to pay a dime more. Why aren't you using that call to action, right? And of course, we had it up there by the next week.
Here, let me got this little thing on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I'm just kind of like going through the process. Customer texting a keyword obviously it starts a normal text conversation, but I guess you're the lawyer here and the big compliance guy. Uh, would we have to ask them another question like, would you like to be added to our VIP list? Is that necessary?
Well, yeah, it would be because they said yes in this case to the two-way text, right, to the one-on-one conversation. If we were to send out, kind of weekly, monthly, whatever specials that weren't a dialogue, we would have to ask them the additional question.
So now
Right?
we've turned our system from a chat system into a marketing system too.
Yeah, I mean, it would take one, basically one opt-in right here. Great conversation. Do you want us to send occasional specials, service specials, or sales specials? And you'd be specific, and you'd have to tell them, no more than X a month. But I mean, that could be one of the pre-written closings on a text chat, or on a keyword calling. Yeah.
So if a customer comes from web chat, we would probably do the same thing and just interject them right into here, just like that.
Well, I'll tell you a way, this is kind of clever, but I'll tell you a way that you could get around, okay? You could either ask them if they want to be on the text chat list, and they say yes, fine, right? But you could always close, too, with a link that says download my digital business card. If they do that, and we're in Apple Wallet or the Google equivalent, you can kind of circumvent that extra okay because they'll, technically that's considered a private app, so they can always delete it, so then you can get them on the list anyway.
Awesome. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to put this in a task to be done. So what do you guys think of that? Now we've added the ability where you don't have to use Wrecking Ball SMS to run campaigns. You'd be able to run campaigns from right within our system. We probably have a scheduler inside of it too, so if stores wanted to schedule a mass send, they could do that. I mean, can I get a yay or nay from this from you guys? You guys like it? You got one like it so far. I think it's a good one. I think we should go for it, man. I know we don't want to complicate the system too much, but I think it kind of sets us just above the rest than we already are. We're just making that bar even farther away from the next guy. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna put a task to that, and we're gonna get that done for you guys. So you guys can be able to market from what's inside here. But always make sure when you're selling it, you're going to be selling this as text chat or the app first, like John stated. And all this stuff is just extra perks for the store. Right, John?
That's it.
Awesome. You guys have any questions, any feature requests? We're getting close to an hour here, probably about 7 minutes away. We like to make sure you guys are involved in the process. Dan says, for the marketing text, allow it to happen without the wallet so it can be used with smaller dealers. Sure, Dan. We're going to factor all that in. And the way I see our timeline now, I could probably see the beacons and the text marketing being launched probably at the very same time if everything goes to plan. And I know there's still a lot of DEM members with us. In our membership. A lot of people have dropped off because obviously the focus isn't there. We want to thank you guys for staying with us. Obviously, you know that we have the best product. It's something that's very sellable. John's proven it time and time again. And another good example is one of those stores that was at the fair, John. They are a part of a bigger franchise. And if you go to their website, I'm not going to get it off the website, but if you do go to their website and you search for just their stores and their location, there's text chat buttons just where they're at for their Michigan locations. And they're having such good success with it. I think they're going to start rolling out to every other franchisee in the system. So it's a very huge move. I guess the leads are coming in pretty good for them. Have you guys talked to them or not, John?
Yeah, exactly. They're getting good pickup. They're really happy with it, and this is a very aggressive outfit that wants to really rival CarMax within a few years in terms of the number of locations. So, I mean, we're not talking 5 or 10 locations. We're talking ultimately hundreds of locations, and they're really happy. They have everything we have right now in the Michigan locations, and they like it. They like it a lot.
Yeah, it's very odd when you go to their website. Like the only text chat buttons are the ones on the Michigan cars. That's cool that they're going to be added to the rest, though.
Believe it or not, just before I got on this call, I looked at one of the leads because I always CC myself in this stuff, and I looked at one of their leads, and it is a text chat, and it is amazing. It is a multi-day text chat, right? It started on the 17th, and another one just came in now of someone, hey, I looked at this car. Can you get it in their, I guess, their Kalamazoo location? And it turns out the guy had just sold it, but then there were two others, and of course he can get it in Kalamazoo. Bottom line, this is a buyer. This woman's going to buy from them. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But some of these leads are really super strong. I mean, and they're all done on text chat. I mean, this whole sale was done on text chat over a multi-day period, which is kind of neat.
Ronnie asks, did I understand that we could install Old Bridge Ford app? Yeah, absolutely. You can use it. You could demo it as an example when you're showing it off. That way you guys don't have that way you guys don't have to manufacture like an app from scratch. It's already pre-built, ready to go.
It's more powerful if you show a real app. And All American Old Bridge is a very high volume Ford store. I mean, they'll move 400 or 500 cars a month, new Fords. So they're definitely in the top 25 in the country. So it's a good one to demo.
And I'm going to put that in the chat box in case you guys want to refer to it later. If I can find my chat box. Let me see here.
Make sure you download the Old Bridge. They've bought, every one of their Ford stores has an app from us. It's an individual app. Old Bridge is the highest volume, right? There's one in Hackensack. There's one in Paramus. There's one in Kingston. There's one in Point Pleasant. Make sure you do the Old Bridge one because that's the highest volume store that they have. That's the big one. That's the really name brand, and the others are smaller.
And I put the Android link in the chat box there. If you guys want to look for it on the Play Store, just do a Google search for All American Old Bridge, Apple app or Android app, and you'll find the links to it as well. Harry asks, what are you charging? Are you referring to text chat or are you referring to the app? I guess, John, if you want to go like line item by line item, what do you charge for chat? What do you charge for the app? What do you charge for Beacon?
Well, I'll tell you, it depends on how many stores and whether they're buying the whole package. I start out with text chat as the kind of basic sale, and I'll go $200-300 for that, and then I'll add on the app, and I'll do another couple hundred for that, and then I'll add on the mobile wallet, right? And I'll add what tends to be another couple hundred for that. So it depends on the volume, depends on how many stores, and depends on what they buy. But I like them to buy the whole package, and if they do, I give them a discount on it.
Great. Harry says that he's getting a feedback leak expired on the app, so I'll take a look at that. And then Ronnie says All American Old Bridge tried to download error code 505. Well, let's find out what that is.
Yeah, I haven't had any problems downloading it. If there is one, we should know about it. I guess I've only downloaded the iPhone one, though. I might have seen it download an iPhone.
And it says here it's a frustrating bug in your phone, is what it is. Gary asks, is mobile wallet available to us now? It's available on request. I think, how many members are on it now, John?
There's a few. We've got a little bit of refinement to do. I would say within a couple of weeks you'll have a system. And again, what we're doing as well is, kind of putting together the best practices for you, right, and how best to go inside a dealership. So you can't get it now, but you'll be able to get it pretty soon.
Awesome. Harry asks, where is the app we're talking about located in the system, or is it a separate item? When you're setting up a dealer, let me come in here. So if I'm in my admin, and let's say you've already sold a store on it, well, obviously you're going to let us know of that. Inside of the system, you got to enable the app on this page here. It's it'll only be enabled if you guys have the app purchased. So currently, no, it's not in here. It's set by default in their system. When they log in, once we provision that, they'll just go to, I think it's either tools or, I'm in sales text chat, damn it. I thought I was in All American chat. Let's do this again.
Yeah, you got to go into, they're one of the ones that have a private label because they have so many systems.
so I go on that one, and then if I go back to admin here, I think it's in this list here. Car Finder, social, no, by default, my programmers, when that app has been created and uploaded to the store, it's automatically added to the page, and it would be under mobile application under tools. And I'll get you guys a login to a demo installation where this is enabled so you guys can play around with that. So if you're ever showing it off, you can show them how the back end works and then just refer to the app for Old Bridge when saying this is how the app works. So that way you guys can have some correlation between the system and the app when you guys are showing it off.
Yeah, now when I start out showing them the consumer app on my phone, right, the Old Bridge app, and I show them the rating system in particular, the tie-in to text chat, and the referral system, right? Those are kind of the hot buttons. As well as, yeah, it'll dovetail into your service scheduling. It'll do all the normal things that normal apps do. It does a car finder and everything. But those are the unique features. And after I do that, then I'll tell them, hey, in the back end, you can do the proximity marketing. But I do that only after I show them the consumer side of the app.
Great. You guys have any more questions before we get off the call? We've hit an hour. Hopefully we can do another call here soon. I'd like to get more people on a call. I know Friday probably wasn't the best day to get on, but we can.
Yeah, you know, when we do the introduction, when we do the actual rollout for LeadSpeak and Mobile Wallet, that one should have tons of people on it because that one's going to be a big one.
Absolutely. We're all looking forward to that. And I think it's going to be a breakthrough in the industry, just all the services that we provide. We give you so many different things to sell and so many doors that can be open when you guys approach a dealership. I mean, it's crazy. Rick says, need to send out an email or something. Didn't see notice on Facebook till late. Sorry, Rick. I'm going to actually have this recording up probably in like 15 minutes. So I'm not like those other guys that are out there where the replay will be like a week later. Ours goes up like within 15 minutes after the webinar ends. So you can count on that being there. So anything you missed, it'll be there in the call. And I can confirm that I've actually got the full recording, guys. Yay!
That's good.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to let you guys go and have a good weekend. John and Lena, thanks for getting on the call today. We all appreciate you. We all love you. And I know, John, you're a busy guy, and it's tough to get you on a call sometimes, but that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, John, he's literally traveling the country 24 hours a day during the week. I don't know how he does it, but he's got more frequent flyer miles than the president, I think.
But yep, and anybody that's near Las Vegas on the 30th of this month, come see our presentation.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Go ahead, John.
I said at Industry Summit.
Industry Summit. We'll get a link out on the Facebook page to the Industry Summit when that is. You got a link ready for you guys to that summit?
Yeah, we'll have one for you.
All right, I'll let Alina post it to the Facebook page. All right, guys, thanks for getting on, and we'll see you on the next call here very soon. Y'all have a great weekend, and try to stay cool. It's very hot out there. Bye now.
Yeah. Bye-bye.